What are you doing? Pippin. Pippin. Are you mad? I just want to look at it. Put it back. Pippin. Pippin.
It's hard to say which way is up and which way is down.
She is here.
So when the great foe Morgoth destroyed the very light of our home, we resisted.
Help! Gandalf! Someone help him! Fool of a took!
Viewer discretion is advised.
Before we start the episode, luckily this episode had no Heartfoots and no dwarfs. And there wasn't that much dialogue. Thank goodness. The episode opens up with Adar talking to his very white orcs and the townspeople that joined him, and is preparing them for battle. The orcs then siege the tower like a broke Helm's Deep, and Bronwyn came up with a plan to loosen the bolts in the tower so they could collapse it on the orcs and stop them somehow. In a single night, they kill some orcs, and then they decide to leave their fortified fortress to go back to the town. A bunch of wood shacks. Now we're back to the Númenóreans in Galadriel sailing to Middle-earth with a huge army and a bunch of horses and 3 tiny boats. And we learn what happened to Isildur's mom.
His mother. What happened to her?
She drowned.
The sea is always right. Moob armor.
Despise not the labor which humbles the heart. Humility has saved entire kingdoms, the proud have all but led to ruin.
A crew cut is trying to destroy the MacGuffin.
It is beyond our skill to destroy.
It's time for another speech.
Our position gives us an advantage.
To the tavern!
Tavern.
Taverns for wounded and children. I can fight.
So at the town at night, the fight begins. The orcs come in. Their weapon of choice is fire. And big surprise, some of the orcs are actually townspeople that turned. That originally left last episode. The crew cut fights an orc, gets its blood in his mouth, and is saved by girl boss Bronwyn, some elf. They then retreat into the tavern. Bronwyn gets shot by 2 arrows. She's bleeding out. They only get 1 arrow out of her for some reason. And then Adar comes in and kills some people. And he finally gets the MacGuffin.
Why sacrifice their lives for such a little thing?
Now here comes the Númenóreans. Now you ask, how did they get all of this on only 3 ships? All these men, all these horses, their full armory, the food supply. Well, here's a schematic of what the ships are supposed to look like if they were to actually bring this many men with them. Outrageous, huh? And of course, they're led by Galadriel. Oh, and the CG in the army is terrible. It's just a copy and paste. Adar hands the townsboy the MacGuffin to deliver.
Lodrek, I have a task for you.
What luck, the Númenóreans and Galadriel arrive, and they fight. And it's terrible because they pull a chain out and knock a bunch of orcs over for some reason. And then Galadriel does this flip on a horse and cuts an orc in half, but she's not even near the orc when it blows up. So stupid. Galadriel and Sauron go after Adar and catch him. At first, Galadriel wants to torture him to get information. Then Halbrand is like, hey, spare him. And then Halbrand wants to kill him. And then Galadriel is like, please spare him. So then they take him into custody. But we get this little line.
One cannot satisfy thirst by drinking seawater.
It's time to interrogate Adar! This scene is pretty bad. They ramble on about who created the orcs. They make up a bunch of stuff because in actuality, it was Morgoth who created the orcs by twisting men and elves. He also says that he killed Sauron, and she doesn't believe him. It's time for the sub-love plot with Galadriel and Sauron.
Fighting at your side, I felt... if I could just hold on to that feeling.
If, like, Sauron is hot, I feel like people will be like, I can fix him.
And boom, Halbrand is automatically king. There's no reason to see if he was lying about being king. So Galadriel chased Adar to get the package, which was the sword hilt. So she gave it to Crewcut, who then gave it to the kid again. For some reason, it's evil. Never bothered once looking to see if it was inside of it.
When it was in my hands, I felt powerful.
Then rid yourself of it.
It's like the old man has the sword and he sticks it in, activating the volcano to block out the sun. Now the water releases through the trenches the orcs made. I bet you could have stuck any old sword into that.